Well, let's get started. Glad to see you guys on this Sunday night, just after 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. Appreciate you being here with an absolutely stunning, beautiful weekend. And as a result, we had some beautiful baseball. Is that a thing? Can we talk about that? Can we say it in that context? I think so. It was a winning weekend of baseball. Feels like our first one that we've had around here in the state of Mississippi in quite some time. Also, basketball coming down to the wire. One more week of the regular season in college basketball. I say that, the smaller conferences are already in their conference tournament, but for the SEC, we're in our final week of the regular season. Boy, has that gone by quickly. Looks like Tennessee, by the way, is going to be the SEC champion. Certainly looks like it after their dominating performance in Tuscaloosa yesterday. So we've got baseball to talk about. We've got basketball to talk about. If you want to, whatever else comes up in chat, you guys know the drill. For the next 30 or 45 minutes or so, we will talk about whatever you want to talk about. My name is Michael Borky. I invite you to please like the video, leave a comment as well. I want you to do that. I want you to drive this conversation. That's the point of these. I'm not necessarily trying to, make some like viral video. I'm just trying to talk with you guys. That's what the point of this is. So please be a part and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's talk baseball. So this time last week, I believe here, let me pull up I should have had this up already, but this time last week, I believe the live chat was, does a series win change your season outlook? That was the topic this time a week ago. And for Mississippi State, they played literally one of the worst teams in all of college baseball. So if we were to bring up that question, that answer is no, or at least it shouldn't be, because Mount St. Mary's gave you no indication whatsoever at all, frankly. That series in a vacuum is just almost pointless, other than the fact that they won, and that's a good thing. And State starting pitching is in good shape right now. Robbie Falk put the numbers out there, and they're in good shape starting pitching-wise. Much better than the previous 2 years, 3 weeks into the season. I know that they have had better competition in years past, but not by all that much. So clearly some improvement there. For Ole Miss, did this series win change your season outlook? So I'm stealing content, and I'm stealing a question literally from myself from a week ago, and that's okay. Whatever. The intellectual property is my own, I suppose. Not like that's a profound or intelligent question either. Giving myself too much credit. But did the Iowa series change your season outlook for Ole Miss? And I think two things can be true at once. You guys know that I say that far too often. It's kind of a crutch, but I do think that's the best way to approach sports topics, is to be honest and not like hot takey, although I guess that is my brand, according to the radio show, that I am the strong opinions guy, and I don't know how that. Anyway, whatever. Point is, I think that is where the truth usually is. So in a sports conversation, multiple things can be true at once. The truth usually falls right down in the middle. It is a series win against a team that was picked highly in a power conference. And that is obviously a positive thing. 3 weeks ago, I don't think they're winning that series, to be quite honest, although Iowa has probably the worst bullpen in all of college baseball. A little hyperbole in that statement, but it is pretty abhorrent. You lose Friday night when they're throwing a first-round pick, as good as advertised first-round pick, on the mound. The way that game ended, though, really was kind of ugly. So Ole Miss has gained some confidence at the plate, it appears. Guys that you knew were capable hitters are starting to be productively capable hitters as well. So that is a good thing. This Iowa pitching staff, the starters anyway, are better than you've seen all year. And the approach and stuff for the most part this weekend was good. They were pretty patient as well. They walk a good bit. They get on base a good bit as Ole Miss. They're pretty patient there. And knowing that Iowa's pitching staff or their bullpen is as bad as it is, having that patient approach was a positive Trayson Hughes is coming along. Fisher was elite over the weekend, so there's that. So that's all very good. Like some pieces in the bullpen as well. Pretty solid there. So it's a series win. It's a very good thing. It's a very positive thing. Feels like they can continue getting momentum and gaining momentum. Losing Friday night didn't derail anything. They come back, they win 2 more. If they beat Memphis and go into the last weekend of the regular season, and if they get 4 this week, they're sitting in pretty darn good shape entering conference play. There are still things that I am very concerned about with this team, though. I don't think that everything is fixed and it's all good. And they're on their way to Omaha, and this is a tournament team now and stuff like that, because starting pitching is not good enough. It's just simply not good enough. I don't know if they're going to make some changes there. And like I'll say on the podcast that I'm recording in the morning. So for those of you podcast listeners, don't say I didn't warn you, because I told you I'm going to be a little bit repetitive, and that's okay. Because the people listening to this now have no idea what I'm going to podcast about in the morning. So anyway, I know that sometimes guys are better suited for certain roles, whether it be mental makeup or whatever. So maybe Saunier is a guy that's just got to stay on Sunday, and that's just where he fits. But I think he has earned a Friday night start. Ole Miss's starting pitching is not good enough to win SEC series on a regular basis without some kind of change. I don't know if just riding with what they currently are doing is going to lead to long-term success. I think other guys have been afforded the opportunity to get a weekend start and to see what you kind of have there, because right now they're not getting deep enough into games. They're not efficient. They're putting guys on base. And yes, I know that the modern baseball game does not have starters pitching 8 innings all that often anymore. It's not really a thing that people do. But when you're struggling to get into the 5th and you're putting guys on base and you're giving up runs against not great teams, then what the heck do you think is going to happen when conference play comes? So I think that Mike Bianco should tinker with his rotation some more. And I know some of that frustrates some people, but I do think that in its current form, they're setting themselves up for series losses in its current form. So some other guys need to get weekend shots, in my opinion, if they're going to maximize what they have. So there's some positives. It's a series win against a noteworthy team, started the season ranked. Bats are coming along. They're still not good with runners on base and in scoring position, but bats are coming along. Patient approaches at the plate. Got some good stuff out of your bullpen. They don't play good enough defense at the moment, and starting pitching is not good enough at the moment. So there's some forward momentum. There's some positive things happening, but I still am concerned about some elements of this team when better teams are on the schedule in the very near future, how they're going to be able to navigate that. Because if you're having costly, just routine errors, if you're walking too many guys, then you have no shot in the SEC. So forward momentum, things are improving, but it's still not perfect just yet. And, still some time to improve, but they got to get on that pretty quick, because they are doing some self-inflicting things at the moment, which is a positive because you can clean those up, but they have to, or else losses are coming in conference play. We shall see. So let's get to your chat. Tim, glad to see you. You were at the game today for Ole Miss. Awesome. Glad you. I know you. You told me in the past anyway that you have a difficult time getting to games, and so I'm glad that you got to do that today. It was a beautiful day. On the basketball side for Ole Miss, 12-21 to 20-9 in less than a year is impressive. No doubt, absolutely no doubt, it's impressive. And it was good. Now, they ended up almost blowing the lead, but I did think that it was a good sign that they came out focused with energy despite, the losses stacking up and seemingly kind of not being in the tournament conversation anymore. To come out and play well out of the gate like that was a good sign. Flanagan's injury is concerning. They need him if they're going to win these next 2 and make a little mini run in Nashville to make it interesting. But Yes. I mean, look, if this season ends with an NIT berth, especially if they're hosting an NIT game, then it was absolutely a success. If you'd have told anybody with a rational mind, that they were going to win 20 games with two winnable games to play, that they will probably be favored in both, Chris Beard would have taken that. There's no doubt about it. Keith Carter would have taken it, and every rational Ole Miss fan would have been like, wait a minute, you're giving me 20 wins with 2 games to play? Hell yeah, sign me up right now. I will take that. So no doubt about it. They are, this season is a success. Regardless of what happens in these next 2 games, and quite frankly, I think there's a chance that they win them both, depending on Flanagan's injury. But year one is a success. How much of a success will it be? We'll find out. But yes, I know the losses stacked up there when the schedule got really tough on them. And I know that we've talked about how things just aren't looking right at times. You know, there's some weird effort stuff going on and all that. All that can be true, and it also can be true that year one for Chris Beard at Ole Miss has been what you were hoping it would be: competitive, meaningful basketball in February and into March. And yes, they are very much on the outside looking in of the tournament bubble at the moment, but the fact that they still have bracket people putting them in the next 4 out category is exactly what we were talking about going into the season, as that is something that would be a positive, and they have gotten to that point. So you can find some encouraging talking points for the weekend in both Starkville and Oxford, but when you look at the SEC competition in a few weeks, you have huge concerns. And that is the fairest way to put it, Jay. I mean, that is as fair as you can be about it. There are positive things happening, and you look around the league, and it still looks like 2 teams that might struggle. Will they? We will have to wait and see. I'm certainly not writing an obituary right now, not anywhere close, especially now that things have calmed down a little bit. That's what I podcasted about a couple of times this week. It's, when you beat Little Rock and Missouri State, whatever, who cares? It doesn't matter. But when it looks right, that is noteworthy. That means something. And yesterday and today for Ole Miss largely looked right. All weekend State looked right. But it's Mount St. Mary's. But when you look around the SEC, there are teams that are on the schedule that look better. We'll see if they actually are. Iowa had a lot of preseason buzz, but you were not impressed with them outside of Brecht at all. You're still concerned about this team, although they are getting better. Yeah, that bullpen. Chase Parham wrote about it going into the series, and everything he wrote was spot freaking on. I mean, my goodness, what an atrocity their bullpen was. I mean, they had some dudes that could hit. They looked physically. They were big, and they're competent. There's no doubt about it that they are a competent baseball team. But they did get swept a weekend ago as well. So I'm with you. Brecht was impressive, really, really impressive. Losing Friday night is not. Other than losing Friday night, if I'd have told you, hey, Ole Miss is going to lose Friday, Brecht's going to be really, really good, and they're going to get beat, you'd have been like, yeah, I get it. First round pick, all good. Good as advertised. But when Iowa literally walks you all the way back into the game, and then you immediately turn around and give it right back, the way they did was pretty rough. Pretty rough. So yeah, I think that's the best team that they've played this year, but bullpen was brutal, absolutely brutal. You thought Friday for Ole Miss was absolutely terrible. It was. Now Iowa's pitching won the game Saturday. It did, but I think Ole Miss played well as well for the most part. The batting with runners on base, and especially bases loaded, is atrocious. They have to clean that up somehow. It's a glaring stat. It's it's hard to kind of figure out, because those numbers are coinciding with guys starting to play better. You know what I mean? Like you're starting to get better plate appearances from Trayson Hughes, for example, and some of the, I mean, even Luke Hill today wasn't bad, which is an improvement. I mean, he hit the ball hard, just right to people. So the offense is getting better, but for some reason that hasn't come with the improvement. It's horrible. Yeah, I mean, you can't do that in SEC play. As you guys know, the margin for error is just so thin. It is so thin, and as a result, um, when they get into these spots and you've got a second baseman that can't field a routine ground ball or an error at short or first baseman that drops just an easy out and stuff like that, when those things are happening, you're going to get beat every night in the SEC. Andrew Fisher is a dude. Him and Jackson Ross are emerging as the most impactful transfers so far. Fisher is a star. He's good all around, too. No change for you. Had they lost Saturday or Sunday, it would have changed for the worse. I agree. You don't understand why on Friday they have Mallets and Nichols fresh and they roll the dice with Connor Spencer, and of course it blows up in their face. Yeah, because especially, hindsight's 2020, right? It always is. It's easy to question a coach's decision after we know the decision doesn't work. But I mean, you had to have felt like in that spot, or at least I did, sitting there watching that. I mean, I know the game is tied at the moment, but there's no way I was going to be able to keep Ole Miss off the scoreboard in the bottom of the ninth. Like, they could not throw strikes. They were so tight. Bullpen's not good anyway, but they were so wound up tight in that moment. If you just get 3 outs, you come back and win the game. And so, yeah, in hindsight, that was a really bad decision, but kind of in foresight, that was not the best decision either. You were going to score in the bottom of the ninth. You were going to. So treat it like a save situation, and you would have won and swept the series. But Iowa might have the worst bullpen in all of baseball, including most high school teams. You don't think Iowa's a good team, to be completely honest? They're certainly not a complete team. There's no doubt about it. The Friday night loss is completely on Bianco. Should have gone to Mallets there to begin the ninth. It is, but in kind of a weird way, like they should have never been in that spot anyway. I mean, frankly, look, getting walked is an art too, but Iowa could not throw the ball over the plate to save their lives in that spot. So they never really should have been in that situation anyway. It was kind of, it was apt that they lost that game on Friday, frankly. I think they deserved to lose that night. And, doesn't matter if you deserve or don't deserve to lose. It only matters what the scoreboard says. I understand it. But I do think that the result is what they deserved. They got lucky to get back into that game. And they blew it, and that was kind of poetic. Quinn looks rattled and uncomfortable. And the thing is he somebody that you can bring out of the pen? What does that mess with his psyche, or can he be a guy that will come out and give you max effort for 30 pitches? Can he be dependent on in that way? I don't know, but right now you can't be that inefficient and that erratic and win games in the SEC. You simply can't. I think at least for a weekend, you have to try something else. And if that wrecks his confidence, then so be it. He's not pitching confidently right now anyway. He's got good stuff. It's just that the command for on Friday night as well, it's not there. You said on this show last week and the week before that we would learn a lot from the Iowa series. Here's what we learned. We can score, talking about Ole Miss, of course. Starting pitching isn't good enough. 500 in the SEC play is a ceiling. Frankly, right now, if they get to 15-15, throw a parade. That was a little hyperbolic, but that would be. I don't expect that as of this moment. Austin Simmons might be a dude. Yeah, and he's an energy guy. We're a few weeks into the season, and it feels like they don't have enough energy guys or juice guys, and he's one. He's got electric stuff, man. He really does. I don't know if you give him a start yet, but I do think that he needs to see more pressure innings and see what you have there for sure. Absolutely. You want to see them score without being walked 20 times every game, no doubt. Give 32 the Friday spot and Saunier the Saturday spot. Then give Quinn Sunday for this upcoming weekend. If he still struggles, give someone else a chance. Or you give someone that shot this weekend against nobody. That's what I would do. I would take advantage of this weekend to see what I have, frankly. On a different topic, how in the world is the Ole Miss women's basketball team only projected as an 8 seed? They're destroying opponents right now. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm just going to be fully transparent with you. I have not paid close attention to the bracketology there, so I have no idea. Maybe that improves as they keep winning and they go to my hometown for the SEC women's basketball tournament. So I love to see that. I hope the men have the tournament there one day. It's a perfect host city, although the arena does need a little bit of work, but it's certainly totally fine. It's kind of nice, but it just could use a little updating. But I don't know. To be honest with you, I do not know. Quinn could be one of those guys who mentally plays better as a reliever rather than a starter. For sure. Yeah, you live a couple minutes or 2 hours from Oxford. Yeah, it's a tough trip for people like you, man. What about the women's basketball team? Them girls are bad. Yeah, and thank you, my friend, for the super chat. Very, very, very much appreciated. They doubled up Arkansas today. I saw that. Doubled up Arkansas today, and I'll tell you what. It's I've seen it from afar. There are people that have watched more intimately than I have, to put it mildly. But after the LSU game, especially when she's had those two press conferences that got people talking this year. The one after the LSU game where she kind of blamed the crowd for being too good because her players weren't used to being in front of good crowds, and then of course the other one that everybody talked about a lot as well. It kind of felt like things were just uncomfortable and weird, right? And something like that could lead to distraction and a team kind of falling apart. And I don't know if that's what galvanized them, but for that to be out there and talked about and all the the drama on Twitter and all that stuff, for all that stuff to happen and them to turn around and play the way they have, it's impressive. That is impressive. So good on them. Program record 12 SEC games. You guess LSU paid all those millions just to win one more game? Oh, man. Yeah, LSU's really invested into that team, and that team's not as good. They did win a ring, though, I guess, didn't they? So good for Kim Mulkey. Great things happen to really good people, don't they? Austin Simmons deserved more appearances. Yeah, now we're going to get something. We're going to have that discourse. You guys know what's coming. You guys have probably already talked about it. I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but should he switch to baseball only, or what's going to happen there? I'm not ready to have that conversation yet. I don't think it's time because he's not in line to play for the football team this year in any high-level capacity. So I don't think this conversation is worth having until this time next year. So I'm just going to ignore that as best I can. In the meantime, just appreciate that dude should be in high school pitching the way he's pitching. So, wow. Holy Brandon. Thank you, man. Holy crap. Did you mean to do that? Thank you, man. Holy crap, Brandon. You just made my weekend. You really just made my weekend. Wow. Thank you. You're not sure what Chris Beard is making this year, but he's going to get a pay raise at the end of the year, whether he's at Ole Miss or somewhere else. Yes, for sure, and for sure. So I know that that's out there. I've put that caveat with you guys here before, and as the season's approaching an end, there's going to be more angst when it comes to that, and I understand why because he is among the best coaches in America, right? And he's coaching at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss fans here at Breaking News More at 11 want him to be there for a while because if given enough time, which really he won't need that much, he'll take Ole Miss basketball to places that it doesn't go, that it's never gone. Uh, He'll put players in the NBA, which is not something that the program does. He'll get them to the Sweet 16, which they've only done once before. You know that all that's going to happen. It certainly will. Um, I do think, though, for whatever it may be worth, um, if he were to do the one and done thing, I think that what he has done in a year, at least from my perspective, and you guys may disagree. You're the ones that are, buying the tickets and paying the NIL and doing all that. I'm not doing those things. That is not what I do. I do think that he has opened Ole Miss fans' eyes again to what winning basketball means. And they haven't won, quote unquote, that much, but just the reminder of, oh, this is what a full arena feels like. Oh, this is what a meaningful game and a meaningful win feels like. Talking about like the Mississippi State game, for example, what that became and what that felt like. Uh, those kind of things the fan base was reminded of, even that Memphis game all the way back before conference play began. And so, even if he does bolt or whatever, there is an actual like thirst for successful basketball from the fan base. And I know the athletic director already has that. And I think you guys would be surprised at the candidates that would be in line to replace him should he leave. I think it would surprise you in a good way. The NIL investment will be there. The school's financial investment is there. He's already making a top 25 salary in the sport, I believe. So, and that was coming off of an arrest, so they didn't have to pay. They're certainly willing to pay more. So, regardless of what happens, I do think that moving forward, you're going to see an even further commitment to winning basketball because this year was a reminder to people what that feels like and what that can do for a school and for a department and for a fan base. People forgot what that was like because basketball at Ole Miss has been so bad for so long. So, you think this Ole Miss roster is perfectly capable of being a solid team that makes the tourney and wins a good amount of SEC games, which is why you criticize them so much. Agreed. Agreed. With that being said, they did pretty much what they needed to do in winning 4 of 5 this week. For sure. For sure. Does Ole Miss strike out a lot on offense? Not, I don't think any more so than most people do. That's what happens now. They're number 4 in the country in walks. Are you serious? Take a walk, get on base. It's money ball. Just get on base. Runs will come. Why? Because he gets on base. It's a beautiful day at Swayze today, and JT is not it for the weekend, in your opinion. He's got the stuff. It's just he's just not putting it together right now. He's capable of it, just not there right now. You can't find any stat ranking on left on base, but you bet Ole Miss is at or near the bottom. I'd be shocked if anybody is worse than they are at that point. So. Okay, but Austin Simmons already looks like more of a good baseball player than Jerrion Ealy or Plumlee. I hear you. If he left, Beard would have done wonders in showing how special good basketball can be. Now, on the other side, the program and fan base would be tested to try and build after that. The roster would need to be rebuilt again. That's just kind of college basketball in a nutshell, though, right? I mean, that's what it is. Um, you're rebuilding rosters annually anyway. I mean, Chris Beard would kind of have to rebuild the roster. I mean, think about who's gone. I mean, Morrell, Brakefield, Flanagan, all gone. Cisse, Sharp, I think, both gone, right? I mean, so you're already kind of rebuilding regardless of whether or not he's not around. But as I say before, um, it's not worth talking about beyond just kind of this right here, because until the jobs come open and he becomes a candidate, doesn't matter, right? I think people got their hopes up too high after they started 18-3. I mean, and they could have won some of these games, right? Like, change the result of the South Carolina game that they should have won. Change the result of that one game. Literally, just the one game, the South Carolina game in Columbia. If they win that game like they should have, I know they didn't, but one shot goes in versus miss and they win the game, right? We're having the NCAA tournament conversation. They're in right now. I mean, so that's, yes, 18-3 was kind of a mirage. That being the record being that was kind of a mirage. But this should be a tournament team. I mean, they were that close to being a tournament team. They had it right there, and just didn't capitalize, and then things kind of went south from there. But they were right there. They had that opportunity, and just kind of shows how thin that margin for error was for them. You don't understand the disappointment with Ole Miss basketball. They've lost 9 games. Last year's team won 13. There, two things can be, here we go again. Two things can be true at once. It can be disappointing that they weren't able to get just one more and to make the tournament, because they could have. But if anybody is truly disappointed with the current state of the program, then they're looking for a reason to be disappointed. It's the losing games where they should have won, led Auburn, led South Carolina, led Alabama. That Alabama one's a little bit different, though. I mean, Alabama shot really poorly in the first half, but I know, certainly valid. How upset would it be if Beard leaves for another SEC school? If it's Arkansas, it would not be received well, I don't think, but we'll see what happens. Ole Miss basketball needs to find big players like Murphy Holloway and Reginald Buckner from the SEC championship season. Big bodies. Yeah. Murphy was that dude, man. Could only go left. And everybody knew he could only go left, and he still somehow found a way to get to the basket every time. It's sort of similar to the 2022 Ole Miss football syndrome. They were mainly predicted 8-4, but they lost games late, and then an Egg Bowl they had no business losing. I agree. Brandon, again, seriously, you're changing my life right now. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. To be honest, Ole Miss is without their Friday and Saturday starters, so pitching is going to be an issue this year. Bianco's hands are tied with the pitching staff. Yeah, especially with Rivas. I mean, they expect, he was really good by the end of last year. I mean, his injury was truly devastating to them. At least they had a heads up on Elliott, right? I mean, they knew that he wasn't going to be around this year. I mean, that was expected. So, but yeah, I mean, the Rivas injury was brutal. Because again, the team was so bad last year, people kind of stopped paying attention. But he was good by the end of last year. Certainly would have been helping them a lot right now. No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. What I don't like is how bad they are in the field. I mean, it's the simple stuff that they're getting wrong right now in the field. That's concerning too. But your point's a really good one and a valid one for sure. Without the just forget Elliott for a second. Just with Rivas, what are we talking about? This is really unfortunate. Brandon's going to pay Beard to stay. Just watch. Yeah, PTG Outdoors. If you PTG Outdoors, very important friend of our radio show now, and could not be more pleased about that. Could not be more pleased about that. But yeah, if Beard was to leave and go to Arkansas, Ole Miss might hire Muss and fire it up. You know, I'm not the first person to bring this up, so but everybody around here is talking about Will Wade. I mean, everybody's talking about Will Wade around here, and I don't know. I don't know. Uh, because again, you can't hire a new coach unless yours leaves. And so talking about a replacement seems a little goofy right now. But if that were to happen, I would make Will Wade tell me no 100 times. And no, Will Wade's no, he's good to hire. So the show cause deal. I mean, Greg Sankey might try to tell you no, but Hugh Freeze is coaching at Auburn. So that's all Keith Carter would have to say is if Greg Sankey was like, Will Wade, no, he can't come back in the SEC, I would say Hugh Freeze did. Did you see what Hugh Freeze did to I'm speaking from Keith Carter's perspective. Did you see what Hugh Freeze did to my program? Did you guys see that? You did, right? You saw that? So he's allowed to coach at Auburn, right? Yeah, he is. Okay. So I'm hiring Will Wade. Thank you. But that's what I would do. I mean, he is a winner. Clearly, he's a winner, and he's a winner that can get players. And forgive my language, everybody, earmuffs. He's an asshole, and that just lean into it, man. He would win. He would win big, and everybody would hate it. And look, when Lane Kiffin had his haters before he did like this personality change, and now everybody loves him. But you would win. You would get players. He would raise money. Basketball would continue on the path of being interesting at a school that has not had interesting basketball but a handful of times in its entire history. So, I'm not the first person to bring that up. So I'm just kind of piggybacking off of that, but I agree with it completely. If that job were to come open, Will Wade wants back in the SEC. I would make him tell me no 100 times. That's who I would want. And I know people think he's slimy or whatever. Will Wade's crime is literally celebrated now. On3 created an entire platform to cover what his crime was, okay? And literally, the NCAA is not allowed to enforce its rules anymore. It's not allowed to enforce its rules anymore. So, there you go. That's what I would do. If Nate Oates left, would Bama want Beard? You don't see why not. I don't know if that would be a job that I would jump to if I were him. Curtain rods and a new mic is why you're here. Yeah, I love that little thing in my living room. The curtain rod's never happening, though. It's never happening. It is. It really. Never again. Never going to happen. Which, by the way, now that I've got you here, by the way, Brandon, I'm putting myself out there for this. I'm going to make you take me crappie fishing. There's a pond by my house where I catch good sized crappie, and I love it. But I want one of those hogs, man. So I'm putting you on the spot here. You and I are going to go crappie fishing. It's going to happen. You don't think either basketball coach in Mississippi is here for the long haul? Maybe they can get them to stay for an extended period of time, though. Hey, look, I mean, it already happened once, and not every coach is the same, but Lane Kiffin initially, when he got to Ole Miss, it was pretty obvious that it was get there, win quickly, get out. And it didn't happen. And now it's, I'm here, I'm going to plant some roots and turn this into a winner. Maybe that happens with Jans and Beard as well. Certainly possible. It happened once. You're not sure there's a children's hospital around to fund the program? No, that was just football. So Will Wade did it all on his own. All on his own. So I should put the curtain rod up and still leave the middle part dangling. You know what's so funny? You can see that from the road too, so obviously. My street's not really busy, so it doesn't really matter what the front of my house looks like, if I'm being totally honest. But yeah, you can see that from the road for sure. I'm going to run something by you guys. I want to know what you think. So I'm trying to figure out how to better use YouTube and how to kind of maximize its purpose. And part of why I'm so hesitant, like it took me a while to accept doing the Rebel Report podcast because I didn't want to be painted as just somebody that can exclusively like only talk about Ole Miss and that's it. Because you know, certain people on message boards that say certain things about innocent young women disagree. But I think that I'm incredibly fair to Mississippi State, right? At least I think so. And I want to talk about more than just Ole Miss and Mississippi State, even with you guys. I want to do big picture college football stuff and NFL stuff and just whatever else is going on in sports. But somebody brought up to me the other day that I should turn this into the Rebel Report live and just do the live podcast recording on this channel and just make it Ole Miss content only. And he said that because he thinks that I would make more money. I'd get more viewers if I just did that. If I just made this Ole Miss only. But is it weird to say that I don't necessarily care about that? So I can't decide. What do you guys think? Would you prefer it be that? What should I do there? Please let me know because it was an interesting idea. There's also a downside. It could pull audience away from the podcast, which would not be good. Do not want to do that. But I mean, it's clear that the Ole Miss videos do better on this channel for me. They just do. So should I just lean into that or keep doing it like this? What do you guys think? I know there's a little delay, so I'll give you a second, then I'll hang it up after that. But I would like to know. I would like to know. Like button looking a little bit light. Yeah, please like the video, guys. I would appreciate that. But you think it's difficult to tell because the Mississippi State live streaming podcast community is already crowded and your coworker is one of the top guys? Exactly. See, that's kind of the thing. It's like, and Hey Dad and Robbie are not one of the top guys. They're the top guys. They are Thunder and Lightning is the gold standard Mississippi State podcast. It is. I mean, it just is. They are consistent every day. They're goofy. But they're goofy, and also they get down to. They just do a really good job. That's what I'm getting at. Is Hey Dad and Robbie just do an excellent job, and they're the best. They're the gold standard. Their listenership is outstanding. So, yeah, like one of my coworkers is already doing that. You know, so should I even try in that space? Do what the audience is here to see. If you want to do a Pelicans pod, for instance, you might get that audience, but I won't be here to be fair. See, that's kind of the thing. That's you don't think Ole Miss has many strong podcast shows after Neil and Chase. Some are all right, like Talk of Champions and stuff. See, I think I might just lean into that a little bit. You actually started liking some of the Ole Miss guys watching me. I appreciate that, Richard. You're awesome, man. Thank you for being here. I can't decide. And I know I'm kind of wasting your guys' time talking about this live, but I do want to hear from you. Like, would this be better if I just called this Rebel Report live and we just did that? So I'll think on it. I'll run it by some people. I might do a Twitter poll, or I might. Can I do a poll on here? Yeah. See, and exactly like guys like Ken. He says make Ole Miss only, and I'm out of here. See, and I don't want to lose Ken. Don't want to lose Ken either. Where Ole Miss pods are lacking are covering in the other sports at all. Are you talking about like tennis and stuff, or like NFL or live golf or something like that? Which, buddy, I've got some thoughts on the current state of professional golf, but I won't bore you guys with it. Millionaires complaining is not endearing to me at all. I cannot bring myself to sympathize with a millionaire that's complaining about the consequences of their own actions. I can't do it. I cannot do it. So, think on it. Let me know. We'll be back on Tuesday. I'm not going to change anything yet. If I do change something, I might even just wait until the start of football season, because once the summer comes, it's just a potpourri of stuff anyway. So, you think either way I'll have an audience that skews Ole Miss heavy? Yeah, see, and that's kind of the thing, is because I do have to cover Ole Miss more for the job that pays the bills. It's already kind of ingrained into it. So we'll see. I'll think on it. We'll be back Tuesday. I'm not making any changes yet, but think on it. Let me know. We'll talk about this more. I appreciate you guys being here. You guys are the best. So I'll think on it. I will think on it, and we'll make a decision later on. But in the meantime, you guys are the absolute best. We'll be back Tuesday, 8:00 Tuesday night. We'll talk hoops. We'll talk. There's college football stuff that's going to happen, because it always does, and more. So I'll see you guys then. Let me know what you think. Brandon, you're the best. PTG Outdoors. We're going fishing together. We are. I want to catch more crappie. I mean, this pond has crappie and bass, Brandon, and the crappie fight better than the bass. Always. They just do. So anyway, you guys are great, and I'll see you on Tuesday.